You can't talk about real estate in Africa without mentioning the man who knows how to erect landmarks. Paul Onwuanibe, Group Chief Executive Officer and founder of the Landmark Group. This property mogul has some business building blocks he wants to show us.
I'm Paul Onwuanibe. I'm the founder and Group Chief Executive of Landmark Africa. I'm a father of two and a happily married man. I was born in London, England. I grew up in London. I went to primary school in London. My father, being very Nigeria-centric, decided to send me to boarding school in Nigeria. That was my first taste of Nigeria at the age of 10. So I went to Federal Government College, Lagos, made some great friends. And the truth is, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't probably be in Nigeria or Africa today. My mom tells me I wanted to be a dustbin driver. I just liked the way they dressed and drove around, and I liked how brave they were, walking into people's houses, throwing bags in the back of trucks. So, I liked that, and I said I wanted to do that, right? But I liked buildings, and I was an artist. I had some talent in drawing, but I drew buildings. So when it came to taking my JAM, I had to take my JAM myself, did it behind my parents' backs because they wanted me to school in the UK after that. And there were two schools that did architecture. One was the University of Jos and the other was the University of Nigeria. I did quite well in JAM, went to the University of Nigeria, and that's how I went into architecture. The main thing I think that always encourages people to succeed is the fear of failure, right? And I just wanted to make sure whatever I did, I succeeded in. In 1999, when I made the decision to start Landmark, I wanted to advise companies and set up their offices from a physical standpoint across the world. And I said, I'll start with Europe. I remember going into the bank and when I was pitching for this money and they said, what's the name of the company? And it occurred to me that I hadn't even thought of a name, right? So I was talking with the bank manager and he says, so what exactly do you want to do? I said, well, I want to build properties or I want to present properties to multinationals in different cities. And he says, where will you do these things? I said, well, I'll look for places of interest. He said, what, like landmarks? I said, yes, and that's how the name Landmark came. This company was never meant to be in Africa. I built it for Europe, so I opened offices in Brussels, in Belgium, in Paris, in France, in London, in England, in the Czech Republic, in Prague, in New York. It was reasonably successful, but we knew it was a good idea. And a good friend of mine came to England and I hosted him. And he says, this thing you're doing, you work in Africa. And I said, okay, let's think about it. So he invited me over. I came back, so I hadn't been to Nigeria for a long time. Came back and realized that, this is a different country. At the time, Africa, with the globalization trend, Africa was now becoming a lot more thought about because of minerals and things like that. And so I thought, this is a good idea, but if I'm going to do this in Africa, I want to do it in the four corners. So I opened up 4 offices simultaneously, one in Lagos and for the west of Africa, one in Johannesburg for the south, one in Nairobi for the east, and one in Cairo for the north. And I said, yeah, let's press the button, let's go, right? So it was a long journey from there, and we had to tweak many things. And I'm not even going to pretend that this is me, right? I had a dream, and you've got to find people to execute the dream. It's like being a president, yes? If the country's run well, it's because you've chosen good people. If it's run bad, it's because you haven't chosen good people. It's just full stop. And my mom used to say to me that you don't appreciate hot until you're cold, and you don't appreciate tall until you're short, right? And it's the same thing with success and failure. You could never appreciate success unless you fail. Come to the market at ₦1 million on this thing. You're underwater from day one. Learn things. Just listening to the entrepreneurs speak. I mean, it's really brave to come out there, do a presentation in a 3-4 minute pitch with no notes or anything. It's really tough. People underestimate it. So it's hard to, I like to see brave people, and I've learned a lot from it. In a country like Nigeria, everybody believes, because everybody knows someone who was nothing that has become something. So, dreams are met. It's just a reality. There's so many successes here from nothing. I think in season 1, I did 7 investments. I think my most exciting one is an offline one. It's the artist. So and I did that one alone. His name is Hansel Pam, I liked him. I liked just the way he came to the show. I liked what he stood for. I liked his talent. So I've worked very closely with him over the last, gosh, it's at least 6 months now. His office is literally on the other side of this building. And, you know, I think he's an incredibly talented, gifted young man. I think he'll be extremely wealthy, and I think he'll be extremely successful. And by default, I think I'll be partially successful as a result. I'll give you all the money, 14 million, for 50% of the company. In 7 years' time, you can sit down with me again, and we can have a conversation about your contract with the company. Do I have a handshake with you?
Yeah.
How do I really want to be remembered? I want to be remembered as a nice guy that helped others and changed a certain part of the world, and at least started something that other people continued. My name is Paul Onwuanibe, and I'm a lion on Lions Den in Nigeria.